Hey everyone, welcome to Mac and PC Prime Video. Today, we're checking out the BOA's best PC cases of 2025. Whether you're building a high-end gaming rig, a compact workstation, or a sleek minimalist setup, we've got options for every budget and style. Let's dive in. What to look for in a PC case. Before we get into our picks, here's what makes a great PC case. Airflow and cooling, mesh panels, fan support, and radiator compatibility. Build quality, steel, tempered glass, and sturdy construction. Size and compatibility, ATX, Micro-ATX, Mini-ITX, and GPU/CPU clearance. Cable management, routing holes, tie-downs, and PSU shrouds. Aesthetics, RGB, color options, and tempered glass panels. Price, budget, mid-range, and premium options. The best high-end PC case. It's all about that big old touchscreen on the angled front of the Hyte Y70 Touch Infinite. And that's the real change between the original Y70 Touch and this latest version. It has a slightly different panel inside it. But all the benefits of the original remain. It looks great, it's easy to add widgets onto, and will make your rig a real centerpiece. Though the caveat to that is you're wasting your near $21,519 on this case if you're going to stick it on the floor and not have it sat atop your desk, where you can gaze lovingly across at it every now and then. That's what I've been doing ever since I built a rig into this thing and slapped a gallery and performance overlay onto the Super Portrait 6.8 2x2560 IPS panel. The Hyte Nexus software is the same you would use on the Hyte ThiCC Q60 cooler, with its phone-sized pump-mounted display, and has a fair number of widgets you can pick from, with more promised in the future. You can also have different windows you can flip through. Again, like a phone screen, which allows you to stack widgets on multiple pages. For me, I have a gallery and system metrics on one, with a media player and calculator on another. It's quicker than reaching for my phone most of the time. But, to Windows, it's just another monitor, which can be a blessing and occasionally a curse. There's a Type-C cable which plugs into the panel internally, and a short DisplayPort cable that pokes out the back of the case to go into an empty port on your GPU. I have two other monitors plugged into it, and a couple of different operating systems, which means every now and then the OS selection screen will appear the wrong way around on the Hyte panel instead of my main monitor. The blessing is that it's super easy to set up, and if you didn't want any of the Hyte widgetiness, then you could simply use it as another screen to drop whatever portrait app you might want on there instead. The best budget PC case you can buy right now is the Lian O11 Dynamic Evo XL Computer Case Compact. Yes, there are much cheaper cases around, but for the money, there's nothing to touch the O11 Vision Compact for versatility, cooling potential, build quality, and sheer looks. Admittedly, ultra-glass cases won't be to everyone's taste, but you can't deny that fully kitted out, the Lian O11 Vision Compact is very easy on the eyes. But let's address the price point. At around $22,039, it's not a traditional budget case by any means. So why is it our recommendation for the best budget PC case? As we've already mentioned, the O11 Vision Compact is incredibly versatile. By that, we mean you can change the top glass panel for a mesh one, for extra cooling. Much of the chassis is held together with screws, rather than rivets, so it's great for modding. All of the brushed aluminum panels can be easily removed. You're not going to get that with a 7000 case. However, to get the O11 Vision Compact down to this price point, Lian has been forced to make a few sacrifices, the most notable of which is that there are no fans or fan controllers included. In today's PC case market, that's a bold move, but if you already have a stack of 120mm fans in the case you're currently using, it's easy to swap them over. And while we're being picky, some of the cable and cooling management and routing is a bit fiddly or cheap, and with a normal ATX motherboard installed, the back panel of the case looks somewhat barren. That's par, of course, for any PC case these days though, as there's always something that will frustrate you or get in your way. That said, the Lian PC-O11 Dynamic Evo XL computer case is one of the nicest cases we've done a PC build with, and given everything that you're getting for the money, it's not hard to understand why we recommend it so highly. The best mid-range PC case is Hyte's Y40. You might have seen this case bundled with a pre-built gaming PC, as it's extremely popular with some manufacturers, for good reason. It's smart looking, plenty capable, and gosh darn affordable. The Y40 boils down a lot of what we like about the Y70 and Y60 into a more budget-friendly and traditional form factor. It's still a fish tank-style case with lots to look at through its glass front and side panels, and it still comes in a couple of good-looking powder coats, but there's less to it and it's more affordable. If you're looking for a case that stands out but doesn't cost a fortune, this is said case. This is a true fish tank-style case, with a black plastic shroud covering the lower regions of the chassis and keeping the PSU, and all its nasty cables, out of view. This shroud is itself quite a good-looking thing, as it creates a slightly unconventional look for the finished build. There are 2 fans in this case, which means you'll likely be looking to add at least one more into the mix, if not a couple and a radiator. One of the included fans sits out of sight under the PSU shroud, which draws air in from the underside of the chassis. There's room for a lot in here. Just bear in mind the glass panel does restrict airflow from the front, and you'll want to be a little smart with how you configure it to keep air moving around inside. What is surprising for a case at this price point is the inclusion of a vertical GPU mount as standard, and including a PCIe 4.0 riser cable. The riser cable is a part of the case's aesthetic, thanks to a chunky PCIe slot add-in card, though that's somewhat covered once you put your GPU in place. It's held firmly by the I/O slots behind, so no need to worry about it flapping around. We've had a few of these cases floating around at various times, either for testing the case itself or as part of a wider build. The best Mini-ITX PC case is the Fractal design Terra. You can use every inch of this chassis for a powerful small form factor PC case, be that a multi-threaded monster or a frame-flinging machine. The Terra is one of my favorite PC cases of all time. I built a tiny PC inside one recently, and nearly shed a tear when I had to rip it back down a few weeks later. Goodbye, sweet prince. The case obviously looks fantastic once fully assembled. That's a panel made of real wood on the front there, though its beauty is more than just skin deep. To access the inside of the Terra, you need only give either of the full-length panels running either side a light pull. Each one swings upwards, though for truly unimpeded access you can remove them altogether with the simple clip on the inside of each panel. It's a solid system, as the panels sit flush against the case and look great, but don't get in the way during the build process, or when you want to take a look under the hood just for fun. The motherboard tray is the key structural element within the Terra, as its position decides what you can install inside it. The tray can be shifted a few centimeters one way or the other, offering either more room for your CPU cooler or for your GPU. The CPU side can be set to either 48 to 77 millimeters, while the GPU can be 43 to 72 millimeters. Generally, it's a good idea to keep your GPU as small as possible to give yourself more leeway on the CPU side. A Noctua NHL12S is 70 millimeters in height, which is close to the maximum size offered by the Terra on the CPU side. With limited space for a CPU cooler, you have to choose a CPU with a reasonable TDP, i.e. not a 14900K. You probably knew that already. I used a Ryzen 7970X inside my build, and this sort of 65-watt chip or thereabouts is a good pick overall. There's room for an SFX or SFXL PSU inside the Terra. I'd recommend picking up a modular unit to keep the cables to a minimum, and only use the ones you need. That's because the PSU hangs above the only slot for a case fan, a single 120mm. You don't need the fan, though it's nice to have to keep temperatures at bay beyond the one on the CPU cooler. With one installed, it's a bit of a tight fit. If you had a much shorter GPU than most, you can also fit a radiator in here on the GPU side, though it's not a very practical solution with most of today's larger-than-life cards. For such a small case, it does get the heat out surprisingly well. This will depend on your choice of card and cooler, though the entirely vented side panels and two-chamber design keep the hottest components away from one another. The Terra is one of the smaller Mini-ITX cases on the market, with room for a discrete graphics card anyway, and yet is one of the more convenient to build in. Even compared to other great cases like the Fractal Design Era 2, we came away feeling the Terra is still on top. Best RGB Showcase. Corsair iCUE 7000X RGB Corsairs. The new 7000 series chassis consists of a version optimized for airflow and an RGB version with a glass front panel which we test. Get this. There is space for three 360mm radiators, or even two 420mm. The chassis can accommodate 7 fans based on 140mm, or 12 120mm fans. There are 4 mounts on the side of the motherboard panel. A radiator with 4 fans can also be placed here. The 7000D gets 3 fans included. The 7000X RGB gets 4, of course with built-in RGB lighting, which you can control via iCUE as a iCUE node, is included into the chassis as well. In fact, the node allows you to hook up fans, RGB, and even has thermal sensors included. The interior of the 7000 series offers multiple cooling designs that support almost any PC cooling suite. As stated, there are 2 versions. The 7000D airflow features 3 140mm fans with air guide technology that focus airflow to higher temperature computer components. The 7000X RGB goes one step further, with sparkling RGB lighting with 4 included SP140 RGB Elite air guide fans, each equipped with 8 individually addressable RGB LEDs. Included is specifically the iCUE Commander Core XT controller and a PWM fan repeater, allowing you to control the speed and performance of the fan and lighting. Both the 7000D airflow and the 7000X RGB offer various storage options, such as a 6-pack of 2.5-inch or 3.5-inch drives and 3x2.5-inch SSD mounts. Multiple I/O connections on the front panel, including a USB 3.1 Type-C port and 4 USB 3 ports. The vertical GPU mounting with 3 slots on the PSU shroud puts the graphics card in the show's center. There is room for 6 disks of 3.5 or 2.5 inches. In addition, 4 SSDs can be installed. The cables can be hidden behind a door with 2 to 3 centimeters of space, and there is a special channel to run cables through. Optionally, the graphics card can be mounted vertically. For this, 3 slots are available for that. There are 8 horizontal PCIe slots. The maximum length of the card is 45 centimeters. The CPU cooler can be a proper 19 centimeters tall, and the chassis can accommodate PSUs up to 225 millimeters. The I/O at the front of the top panel consists of the usual buttons, an audio jack, a USB 3.1 Type-C, and 4 USB 3.0 ports. The 7000D airflow will go on sale for €260. The 7000X RGB has a price tag of $28,679. Both are available in black and white. We'll review the Corsair iCUE 7000X RGB in black.